Just when you think the water is calm, things start getting a little crazy. Welcome to Believers Talk. My name is Joe, and welcome back. Just live yesterday, did a video this morning, and we're back live right here. My name is Joe. If you're new to this channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, like this video. Let's try to get a lot of likes in this one, as we'll talk about the Buffalo Bills signing Spencer Long, re-signing Lafayette Pitts. And we'll talk about the Buffalo Sabres, currently playing the New York Islanders. Listening to that in this ear as we talk. I'll keep you updated on that. Anthony, welcome to Believers Talk. Always good to see you in here, man. Also, we got the Buffalo Bulls in action, so plenty to talk about, plenty going on. That's not even to talk about Jerry Hughes' tweet about Tom Brady. We'll talk about Antonio Brown's little song he did saying bye-bye to Pittsburgh. Where's he going? Lots to talk about. You had a feeling Bean would pick up Long? Well, you know, there's no problem here. Versatile guy. We'll talk about that a little bit. You know, fourth year in the league, or fifth year in the league, I believe. 3 with Washington, 1 with the New York Jets. But we'll talk about that in a second. I'll give some of you guys time to get in here as we're going live again. Like I said, we just went live yesterday. As this news comes, guys, you know I'm going to bring it to you. So again, you want to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Most of the time, YouTube tells you when I'm going live. Sometimes they mess up. Sometimes it doesn't get you notified. But just keep looking out, and I will be here, including this Sunday. We will be going live for the Buffalo Sabres versus the New Jersey Devils. Listening to the Buffalo Sabres game right now. Listen to them play the New York Islanders, currently 0-0, as we're getting close to ending the first period. About 4 minutes to go in the first period there. Buffalo Bulls playing the Akron Zips. Buffalo Sabres just scored a goal, baby, just like that, and we'll bring it to you right here on Believers Talk. Let me tell you who scored this one. Jeff Skinner scores a goal, assisted by Jack Eichel, wearing the Jack Eichel jersey right now. Big goal. Buffalo's up 1-0 now with the Sabres over the Islanders. A Jeff Skinner goal as we go live. Much better than last time we were live when the Sabres were playing, as the other team, I think it was the Columbus Blue Jackets, scored as we went on the air. This time it's the Sabres getting into the net, scoring a goal, going up 1-0. Also, we're keeping you up to date on the Buffalo Bulls and the Akron Zips, as the Buffalo Bulls are currently trailing the Akron Zips 26-25. Akron's at home, and we know that the Buffalo Bulls men's basketball team has had a hard time on the road in conference play so far this season, so we'll see if they can improve. But that's really not why we're here. I'll keep you updated on that as those are going on. I'll keep you updated on the Sabres game as that goes on. The reason we're here is to talk about 2 Buffalo Bills signings. We re-signed Lafayette Pitts, and we signed Spencer Long. Spencer Long, center guard, from Nebraska. He has played 4 seasons in the NFL. Again, 3 seasons with the Washington Redskins and 1 season with the New York Jets. I believe I tweeted this earlier. And guys, if you're not following me on Twitter, guys, the description's in the links in the description below. I don't know how this works. Excuse me. So follow me on Twitter. I'll keep you updated on all things Buffalo sports related. Again, welcome to Believers Talk. Thank you for joining me. If you just joined me, my name is Joe, so we're going to keep you updated on all these things. We'll talk about Lafayette Pitts. We're going to talk about Spencer Long. A lot of things going on. Did you guys see the tweet Jerry Hughes put out about Tom Brady? There was a video that came out of Tom Brady yelling at the refs on the field, cussing them out, and he's upset because if you remember earlier this season, Jerry Hughes got fined for going into a tunnel and attacking an official, not really attacking him, but verbally attacking him, and he got fined for that. And he's wondering why Tom Brady's not going to get fined for the same thing. I personally don't think it's the same thing, but let me know what you guys think. Do you think it's the same thing? Do you think Tom Brady should be fined? I personally don't. It's a little bit different when you're in the heat of the moment. You know, and in fairness, Jerry Hughes was called a negative word by this official, but at the same time, it was no longer game time. You know what I mean? Like the officials were leaving the field. They were in the tunnel. Jerry Hughes chased them down to basically threaten this official, and that's what he did. He threatened this official. in this instance, Tom Brady was just cussing at him. He was not threatening in any way, shape, or form. So he should be fine just for being Tom Brady. Well, he was. He was suspended 4 games just for being Tom Brady, unless you believe deflated balls had something to do with them beating Indianapolis Colts by, I think it was 30-some points in the AFC Championship game. But they still suspended him 4 games for that, and it gave the Bills an extra win that season as we beat Brissett while Tom Brady was out because Garoppolo got hurt as well. So they played Brissett, and the Bills won. I think it was 16-0. So we got an extra win out of the deal, so we'll take it. But yeah, Tom Brady. If you listen to people who are mic'd up, if players were mic'd up all the time like they are in the AAF, you would hear that all the time. You would hear these players, and that's why they don't do it in the NFL. That's why they don't always mic you up, and maybe that's why they should be watching what they say or watching what they put on the air because of this type of backlash. I don't know. I think it's, again, a different situation on the field compared to off the field. Buffalo Tings, welcome to Believers Talk. Good to see you. Any Buffalo sports fan, Anthony, always good to see you guys. So again, thank you for joining me on Believers Talk. We'll get into the Spencer Long signing. What do you guys think of the Spencer Long signing? Also, we'll get into the Lafayette Pitts. The Islanders did just tie it up, scoring a goal to make it 1-1. So, just like that, the Sabres scored, and then the Islanders scored right back to make it 1-1. This is a game the Sabres probably need to win to keep alive in the playoff picture. I mean, again, we're currently the 10th seed, looking to gain some ground. Would love to win this game. Not only would love to win this game, would love to win this game in regulation. We need to stop letting teams get 1 point when we get 2. We need to get 2 and shout out the other teams when we can. Again, the West Coast doesn't really matter so much. But yeah, Fox 87, yep, they just tied it. The Islanders just tied it at 1. I'm listening to that on the radio. Keeping you guys updated on the Buffalo Bulls. Currently, last we checked, they were losing to the Zips. Currently down 28-25 with 3 minutes to go in the first half. At least they're where they need O-line help. Yeah, who knows what's going to happen with Long, Buffalo Tings. Who knows what's going to happen. He hasn't always played the best at center. But again, this is a versatile guy, center and guard, right? He played guard. He's played left guard, and we need left guard help too. It can't really... Is that at the end of the first period, maybe? Yep, end of the first period at the Sabres game. So with score 1-1. But yeah, Spencer Long played a few games at left guard as well. We'll see what happens. Obviously, again, we need offensive line help. Our offensive line, I believe, was ranked 28th or 29th in Pro Football Focus this year. Our offensive line was 28th or 29th, I believe. So obviously, we need help in that position. And we'll keep signing players like this. We're talking about a 3-year deal. If I recall, the money is not that huge. I did write about that again on Twitter, but I can look into that as well. We re-signed Lafayette Pitts. What do you guys think of that signing? Everyone's talking about Spencer Long. We did re-sign Lafayette Pitts today as well. Cornerback from Pitt. This is his 5th season. Going to be his 5th season in the league. He went undrafted. I believe actually his 4th season league. He went undrafted, I believe, in 2016. 2016 went undrafted, then went on to play for the Miami Dolphins on their practice squad for a little bit. And they went to the Jacksonville Jaguars for 2 years, and then he came on to Buffalo, and then spent last year with Buffalo. We re-signed him. Regular season, he had 9 tackles, 1 assist tackle, so 10 tackles total. What do you guys think of him as a cornerback position, as a rotational player, maybe a number 3 cornerback for the Buffalo Bills? Still looking for that legit number 2 corner in Buffalo, but we'll see what happens. Plays college ball in Pittsburgh. Always find Lafayette Pitts in Pittsburgh, but I'm stupid like that, so I like stupid stuff like that. So, but that's a 3-year, $13 million. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Yeah, no, that's 100% right. Buffalo Tings, 3-year, $13 million, which is less than what he signed his last contract for. So, you still want Paradis as our center, and we'll move Long out to guard. It really depends what the Buffalo coaching staff thinks of Long at guard. There's not a lot of film of him at the guard position. I think he's only played a few games there in his NFL career. But if they like him, we can do that. I just don't know if we're going to get Paradis after we re-signed Who we re-signed? Who did we re-sign earlier this year already? Offensive lineman. I mean, I was live for that one too. I forget who that was. But yeah, we already re-signed the offensive lineman who played center. I don't know if we're going to spend all this money on the center position, but maybe. Especially if we have him playing, if we have Long to play guard, and then we'll see what we do with the center position. But we still have to figure out what we're doing with Groy as well. Bodine maybe on the team still, so we'll see what happens. Obviously we're spending money on the offensive line position to start off the offseason, and that's not a bad thing at all. Not a bad thing at all. We knew that we needed offensive line help, so it's good to see that we are trying to get that help any way we can, and it's good to see we're moving quickly too. Good to see we're moving quickly with these signings, trying to figure out a better offensive line than what we had last season. Obviously, again, not hard to improve from last season, but still, it's good to see us taking these steps as fast as we can. I'm reading an article from NewYorkUpstate.com right now about adding depth to the offensive line. Arguably the worst unit of the Bills roster last year, probably. Had 6 errant snaps to QB Sam Darnold last November. He was pulled from that game and returned as a guard when James Carpenter was injured later in the season. So maybe he will be moving to guard, right? If 6 bad snaps in one game seems a little rough to come back from as a center. But again, like was mentioned earlier, maybe he's using that to fuel the fire and to see what he can do here coming up for the Buffalo Bills. And you don't want to bash a player right before I think the new addition to the Browns. Oh, we'll get into that. I mean, I just don't want to get into I don't want to get into that. But some Bills fans were saying that they wanted him. I'm happy that we didn't sign him, to be honest with you. I'm really happy that we didn't sign him. I'm happy that he went to the Browns. Or not that he went to the Browns, but they didn't come to that Kareem Hunt did not come to the Buffalo Bills. I know a lot of people wanted him. I was listening to sports radio today, and they were talking about how the NFL kind of is giving these teams who are willing to take a flyer on guys a break here. If let's say he's suspended 10, 11 games, and then all of a sudden Kareem Hunt does what he did for the Chiefs, well, then Cleveland's rewarded for not caring that he hit a woman. Is that what we want? Is that what the NFL wants? Like, oh, you hit a woman or you hit somebody. You hit somebody. It doesn't matter if it's a woman or a guy. You hit somebody, you're going to be suspended, and we'll look into it further. But while we're looking into it further, this team's going to sign you. Oh, hopefully you do great for them then. I don't know. There has to be another way. But it is what it is. Good luck to Cleveland. Hopefully this doesn't set them back again. You just finally see with Baker Mayfield, you see this team finally making strides to do better, finishing 7-8-1 last season. You would love to see them continue to improve, but I don't want to see them improve if they win their division, because I don't want them taking a wild card spot, because that's another wild card spot the Bills could get. I want them to do well, except when they're playing the Buffalo Bills. That's all I'm saying. And also what I want to talk about is, and we were going to post a video on this, I actually just did a video last night that we were going to post later this week about Jeffrey Simmons. The NFL Combine less than a month away. Jeffrey Simmons was not actually invited to the Combine due to a domestic violence incident. Well, this weekend, while he was practicing, while he was doing team drills, he tore his ACL. So now, not only is he not going to be a part of Combine, now he tore his ACL, which means he's going to be out for a year. It's going to be interesting to see if teams, take a flyer on him in the draft, because he was projected to be a first-round draft pick. In 2016, Troy Vincent, head of player personnel or something like that, executive vice president or something, I forget, said that the NFL is not going to invite anyone who was previously convicted of domestic abuse, weapons charges, etc., to any NFL activities, and that would include the NFL Combine, of course. In high school, his senior year in high school, that's when Jeffrey Simmons was was seen on video hitting a woman, and so for that he faced a penalty in college at Mississippi State, and then he was going to face the penalty of not going to the combine. Was doing some kind of drills this weekend towards ACL. So our team's willing to take a flyer on this guy, defensive end, maybe defensive tackle, defensive lineman, defensive end, whatever you want to put him. Maybe that's something the Bills look into in one of the later rounds. Again, we have a lot of picks this year. Why not take a potential top 20 draft pick who injured himself, so obviously he's going to fall back a little bit. Take a flyer on him and see what happens, see what he can do. When he's healthy, he'll be healthy again in 2 years. Let's see what he can do. Now, is it worth a 3rd or 4th round pick to do that? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about that? But we did want to talk about the NFL Combine. The NFL Combine is coming up at the end, in the end of February. Also, something to remember about the NFL Combine now. Guess who's going to be checking out those defensive tackles at the NFL Combine? That's going to be none other than our own guy, Kyle Williams. Kyle Williams is going to be on NFL Network breaking down the defensive tackle position at the NFL Combine. So I look forward to that analysis. Maybe he's finding his career, right? Maybe he's finding his new career as an NFL analyst. Maybe he's going to work for NFL Network. Who knows? Who knows what he is going to do? I look forward to seeing him at the NFL Combine. That's going to add some adventure and excitement to the NFL Combine. Again, a huge Kyle Williams fan for those of you who are new. And if you are new, again, thank you for joining me on Believers Talk. My name is Joe. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button. Listening to the Sabres game in my left ear. Currently at the first intermission, the game is tied 1-1. Keeping you up to date on the Buffalo Bulls and the Akron Zip game. Just went into halftime, and the Buffalo Bulls are up 30-28. Again, guys, Buffalo Bulls men's basketball team been struggling on the road in conference play this season. Don't know why, but still ranked in the top 25, trying to get past the Akron Zips. Maybe still win that MAC title, get into the March Madness, and we will have that coverage for you here on Believers Talk. Buffalo Sabres currently the 10th seed in the East, trying to move up, get into the 8th seed. Currently tied 1-1 with the New York Islanders. We will have live coverage and play-by-play and reaction this Sunday as they play the New Jersey Devils. So I look forward to bringing you that, and I hope that later this season we'll be covering the playoffs for you right here on Believers Talk as well. So again, if you haven't already hit that subscribe button, hit that subscribe button. Want to talk a little bit more about Spencer Long and Lafayette Pitts as the Buffalo Bills sign and re-sign those players this season. Lafayette Pitts, again, the quarterback position, we're still looking for that number 2 guy, but Lafayette Pitts can definitely be a good number 3. We've seen that at times this season. This past season, he was a good number 3 corner. Some injuries kept him off the field. We'd love to see more from him, but he's definitely earned the re-signing. And again, I don't think the contract has been made official yet, or at least I haven't seen it. And then you talk about Spencer Long, 3-year, $13 million for a guy that can be versatile on the offensive line. Talking about a guy who could be moved from the guard position to the center position. Obviously, talked about that earlier on this stream, how he isn't considered one of the better centers in the game. Had 6 bad snaps in one game. They took him out of the game. Then he came back then at a future game at guard, and he did better there. So maybe he'll well be a guard, and maybe Anthony, was it Anthony who said that? Yeah, Anthony. Maybe you're right, and we will still go after Paradis at center, but we'll see what happens. Again, the Bulls game is at halftime right now with the Bulls up by 2. Sabres are tied 1-1. Let's talk about Antonio Brown a little bit, guys. Antonio Brown sent a video on Twitter today saying bye-bye to Pittsburgh. How about putting Pittsburgh in a bad spot? I was reading up on this on Twitter. Apparently, if they do not trade, or if they do trade Antonio Brown by March 21st, their dead money hit is only $21 million. Wow. That's crazy, guys. We know a little bit about dead money coming off the past 2 seasons with a lot of dead money on our salary. I mean, we're happy to have him off now, but man, $21 million. If they don't trade him by that date, it will be 23 or 24 million at that time. So that is kind of crazy. He was above average guard for Washington for 4 years. That was only played center for a year, so I see him as a guard probably. But and Nick, thank you for joining Believers Talk. Thanks for coming on again. Hit that subscribe button. I still think we go after one of the top 2 centers, and Long is an option if we can't land them. Yeah, and that's something that Brandon Beane and Coach McDermott really like, right? And I almost get sick of saying this word, but they like versatile players. They like guys with versatility, especially at the offensive line position where you can lose players, a lot of players in a singular game, right? So you bring another guy who can play the position, maybe not the best at the position, but if he comes in, he's serviceable, and that means we can add more players elsewhere if we have guys on the offensive line who can play more than one position. So we know how much they love the versatile players, and that might be a big reason why they signed Long here for the 3-year contract again. Washington 4. I thought it was Washington 3 years. New York Jets 1, but I could be mistaken. Either way, he's with the Buffalo Bills now. We're happy to have him as a Buffalo Bill. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he's going to be a starter. Again, this at face value, as I was reading, looks more like a depth signing. So you guys might be right. We might still be going after one of the top 2 centers in free agency. I don't know who's out there as far as centers in the draft. We'll talk about that as the draft heats up. But we'll see what we do there as well, whether we go after a young center at the draft. I also see him as a replacement for Groy. I think he's a better version of Groy. It's not, no offense to Groy. I think Groy was one of our better offensive linemen this season, but it's not hard. It's not hard to replace this offensive line, guys. It's really not from this previous season. I always dislike them. Mills, Miller, Groy, Bodine, Dawkins. Throw some guys in there, but it was a tough season of offensive line, that's for sure. And I would love to see that change. Coach Johnson came in to hopefully improve the offensive line as well. And again, this is all on Brian Daboll. It's all on Brian Daboll now. He got a new coaching staff this season, so we will see what he does with the new coaching staff. I think we're getting ready to start the second period here in the Sabres game as well. Again, the Buffalo Bulls are up on the Akron Zips at halftime. We are not getting ready to start the second period. They're getting us up to date on some of the scores around the league currently. Who do we pick up? We signed. What's my problem? I just had his name, and you guys have talked about it this whole game. Wait a second. All right, so we've signed. We re-signed Lafayette Pitts, and we signed Spencer Long, center/guard, who played for, it's going to be his 5th season, played for the Washington Redskins and the New York Jets. As Nick has been talking about in the chat room, he's been a much better guard than center when he's played at that guard position. So maybe that's why the Bills signed him. But again, a lot of local media in the New York area is saying it looks like more of a depth type signing, which you need depth on your offensive line. Again, these injuries, injuries where guys need out for a play or two, they happen all the time in a game, especially on the offensive line. Guys get nicked up, guys get beat up. You need that depth, guys who can play different positions if needed as well. That way you don't have to waste roster spots getting a backup center and getting a backup guard or 2 backup guards or whatever have you. Now you can do that with one guy, and now you can work on other places to fill other roster spots as well. So could just be a depth signing. You look at Lafayette Pitts, obviously was with the Buffalo Bills last season. Prior to that was with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he was on the Miami Dolphins practice squad for a little bit. Lafayette Pitts, again, probably good number 3 cornerback. Would love to see more from him. Again, maybe more of a depth signing as well. But you never know. You look at the one side, obviously, we have our boy Tre'Davious White. Need to get that dominant number 2 corner, right? We need to get that dominant number 2 corner. Have a slot corner maybe with Lafayette Pitts here, and then we'll see what happens from there. But those are the 2 guys we signed today. Talking about Antonio Brown, still very unlikely that Antonio Brown comes to the Buffalo Bills. And I say that for plenty of reasons. My main reason is because I don't think Coach McDermott wants that type of distraction in his locker room. I personally don't. I think that Antonio Brown overstayed his welcome in Pittsburgh. I don't think all the problems in Pittsburgh between Antonio Brown and the Steelers should be put on Antonio Brown. I think Mr. Roethlisberger should take some of the blame for that as well. But we haven't heard anything from him. I mean, talk about that game against the Denver Broncos. I think it was week 13. They played the Denver Broncos. Ben Roethlisberger threw Antonio Brown under the bus, just completely threw him under the bus, saying he needed to cut the route inside or something like that before it was intercepted. And no one talked about that. You know, they talked about it for maybe a day or two, and then all of a sudden you didn't hear about how wrong it was for Ben Roethlisberger to throw his teammate under the bus. Don Montgomery, welcome to Believers Talk. Always good to see you in here. I do like to see Bills already make moves, especially on positions of need. Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. No, I absolutely agree. Move fast. Get these guys when you can. I mean, the league year doesn't officially begin until March 13th. So if you can pick up some guys before then, you should absolutely do it. Remember last year, guys didn't exactly work out in our favor, but we picked up Vontae Davis before free agency started. We also picked up Chris Ivory before free agency started, and that worked in our favor. So I liked Chris Ivory this past season. I don't know about you guys, but look at position of need and say, hey, these guys can fill that position of need for us. Maybe just be a depth signing, but you know what? You need those guys too. Those guys are as important as the starters, because once those starters go down, and it's bound to happen. Everyone gets hit by the injury bug. You know, it happens more for one team than another from season to season, but there's no way to guarantee which year you're going to be hit with the injury bug. You need guys who can fill in the depth chart, who can be a starter maybe for a few games during this injury time. So now that we got this Spencer Long, that doesn't mean the offensive line's done. Obviously, guys, again, we had one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL last season. So second period has started in my ear, so I'm listening to that as we speak. So again, if there's a score update, I will let you know. Will not be live throughout the whole game. Probably only be live for a few more minutes. Did want to talk more about Jerry Hughes, Antonio Brown. Again, I feel like Antonio Brown kind of gets a bad rap here, but you know what he did last year in the playoffs right before the playoffs when he taped Coach Tomlin in the locker room with his speech. That was a little childish. This thing on Twitter that he's putting out there, I think that's a little childish personally. Like, okay, you tell the team that you want to be traded. You don't need to go public with it. Sure, it got to be public knowledge at one point, but it doesn't need to be something that you put on Twitter. You know, Coach Edwards would always say, don't hit send to these young players, and now you look at these veteran players still doing the same thing. But we'll see where he goes. I think the 49ers are currently the front runner, or at least last I saw, we're the front runner to pick up Antonio Brown. Would love to see him leave the AFC. That would be fine by me. I know we don't play Pittsburgh all that often, once every 3 years, but still, we play San Fran less. We play them once every 4 years. So wouldn't mind seeing that. And again, we wouldn't see them in the playoffs. So I'd be okay with that. Again, guys, thank you for joining me on Believers Talk. Listening to the Sabres game here. Got the Buffalo Bulls game at halftime, currently beating the Akron Zips 30-28 halftime. Slightly off topic, but it does have to do with the Bills. What's your take on the stadium issue? I have gone in depth. We did do an episode on the stadium issue a little while ago. I think it was last offseason, actually, that we did one on the stadium issue. We have to get a new stadium. And here's why. And I know people in Buffalo are going to hate to hear that because, your tax dollars are going up. But here's the truth. Your tax dollars go up every time they do a facelift, too. So the last thing you want to do is have a facelift done for your stadium and then need a new one anyway. Guys, I love New Airfield. I was there for the first time in years this past season and had a wonderful time. And when they get a new stadium, I want them to try to recreate that atmosphere because it's amazing. If you have not gone to a Buffalo Bills home game, you should go. You should really go. I know that tickets are not always cheap. I know that it's not always easy to go to a game, but if you have the opportunity to go, you should go. But at the same time, that's an old stadium. That's a really old stadium. It's been through 7 name changes. We haven't had a new War Memorial Stadium. But then it's where do you put it? As someone who used to live in the Niagara Falls area, I know the layout in Buffalo isn't the best as far as indicative for a new stadium, right? So where do you put it? That becomes a debate. I knew there were builders at one point last season that gave the Pagulas 3 or 4 potential options for a new stadium. Not sure where that went after that, but I know that's been going on. But personally, I do believe that we do need to get a new stadium. Do I think Dorsey is likely to replace Dable down the road? It depends what happens next season. It really depends. If Dable does well next season, he's moving on, right? And then Dable struggles next season, he's fired. If Dable's fired, I think we're likely to see if Dable doesn't do well, we're likely to see Dorsey come in if he's fired if throughout the season. At midseason he gets fired, and then we'll have Dorsey be the offensive coordinator, and then it's just a matter of how well does he do during the season. But if Dable is fired at the end of the year, a lot of times when you see an offensive coordinator fired, you really don't see someone get promoted again if in the same system, but really depends. I mean, it really depends what happens there. I know a lot of Bills fans want that. I've seen that a couple of different places, but we'll see what happens this season with Dorsey as the Bills coach. So, AQT, welcome to Believers Talk. What is my opinion on Antonio Brown coming to the Bills, and what would they give up? Well, right now, I personally don't want Antonio Brown coming to the Buffalo Bills. I know I've him hot over this for quite some time. And if he comes to the Buffalo Bills, listen, he's a great talent, and we're going to be very happy to have him. I don't want a new stadium unless it's in the same area. Downtown, we would lose the tailgate. Yeah, right, exactly. And that's the problem. And the problem with the new stadium, too, is then you'll start hearing things about domes, right? And that's not – in Buffalo, we don't want a dome. We want to be able to – the elements is part of us, right? They're like we're blue-collar – elements are us, we're gritty. Let's have a playoff game back in Buffalo and show them what we can do. But we also, if this is possible, they did just in 2017 or in 2018 when the Eagles beat the Patriots, the Super Bowl was in Minnesota. So maybe getting a dome would give us a likelihood of hosting a Super Bowl. And I know we don't care about that as Bills fans, but money talks, and the Pagulas know that, and the city of Buffalo knows that too. So if getting a dome means that we have a chance to host a Super Bowl, maybe that's something that they'd consider too. I don't want to say that, but you have to be logical about it, and maybe that's true. Maybe that's something that would happen. But yeah, I wouldn't want a dome. Even though you look at someone like Josh Allen would probably benefit from a dome. But then you would say, see, if we get a dome, the issue is then we don't have a team set up to be a dome team, so we have to then revamp our team over the next few years after that, and then spend some time with a pretty mediocre team again. And Bills fans don't want that anymore. But going back to QT's thought on Antonio Brown, listen, Antonio Brown is one of the best wide receivers of this generation, right? I mean, I remember when Antonio Brown first came into the league, when he first had a big season. I think it was in 2015. I was like, okay, we had a big season. Teams are going to double cover him now, and it's not going to be a big deal. And in 2016, teams double covered him, but he still got open all the time. All the time, he still got open. And then it happened again in 2017. Happened again in 2018 for the most part. But he is getting a little bit older too. What would the Bills have to give up, you ask? I wouldn't give up anything more than a second, maybe like a second, third, and fifth or something like that. Some sort of package that would not include a first-round pick. And here's the problem for the Rooneys. See, I think the Rooneys handled this, the owners of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I feel like they did a terrible job handling this. They have come out and said that they do not see Antonio Brown being part of their team next season. Well, why would you say that? If I were the Rooneys, I would say anything more along the lines of, oh, well, we're going to do everything we can to keep Antonio Brown on this team. We're going to talk to Antonio Brown, see if we can work things out, yada, 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 even if it's window dressing. Because then teams are going to come at you with their best offer. Now, they know Antonio Brown wants to leave. They know you don't want him there. They know all they have to do is match the worst or the best offer out there. Instead of coming out to you and saying, I'll give you my best offer, here's my best offer, they're going to come and call you and say, what offer do you have on the table? Okay, I'll give you a seventh on top of that, right? So let's say the Bills offer them a second and a fifth and a seventh. Second, fifth, seventh. Perfect, okay, for Antonio Brown. Then team comes out and says, what do you want for Antonio Brown? Or not what you want, but what have the Bills offered you? What's the best offer you have on the table? Well, right now it's a second, fifth, and seventh. Okay, we'll give you a second, fifth, and sixth. No one's going to be talking about first-round draft pick. Brown's good, but he's a diva. Yeah, right, he is a diva. You're absolutely right. We can't handle the drama he brings, especially with a quarterback only going to be entering his second year. He'll blame Allen for everything and want out in a year. We've seen that before, too. The truth is about Buffalo, it's a hard pull for these free agents, for these players who want traded. You talk about the weather there; it's not always great. You talk about the winning culture hasn't been there for quite some time. The best thing going for the Buffalo Bills, is the fan base, and that's great and that's wonderful, and it should be that way. Every team should be that way. But when you're talking about winters where all you do is have snow, right? Even though it hasn't been that way for a few years, but that's all you have is snow, and for 4 months you're stuck inside. Not much to do. It's a tough culture build. We've seen Marshawn Lynch say things about that. We've seen Willis McGahee say things about that. We've seen a couple players say things about the city of Buffalo that aren't appealing, and I know we get mad at them as fans, but maybe they have a little bit of a point where they're not happy with the nightlife and things like that. I say eat your buffalo wings with blue cheese and shut up. Maybe it's good you don't have a nightlife, you can't get into trouble like you did in Seattle, Marshawn Lynch, but you still got in trouble in Buffalo, right? Maybe you can't get in trouble with LaShawn McCoy, but you still went to Philly and got in trouble anyway. Excitement in the Buffalo Sabres game leads to nothing, but that's okay. What is my opinion? Oh, what is my option for what? I'm sorry. So my opinion on Antonio Brown is not to pick him up, not to trade for him. It's not worth it. I think we have a very young team. We have a team going in the right direction. Buffalo Sabres goal. Pominville with the goal puts the Buffalo Sabres up 2-1. If you're just joining my Believers Talk, we just heard the Sabres go up by a goal, up 2-1 now. Jason Pominville with the goal. So again, Sabres need to start winning to move up the standings, get up from the 10th spot, up hopefully crawl up to the playoff spot, maybe get into 7th, 6th. Who knows what's going to happen from there? Obviously, anything can happen in the playoffs, but it all starts with getting some wins. Right now, we're winning 2-1. How do I feel about the signings today? Long is a good signing. We talk about how he'll probably be used more at guard than at center. I don't disagree with that. The signing of Thomas Davis. Well, let me look this up real quick. I didn't know we signed Thomas Davis. More excitement in the Sabres game, but nothing happened. Oh. Well, I see that he's on the Bills wire. You're talking about drafting Thomas Davis. So here's the thing about the linebacker position with the Buffalo Bills. I've talked to Hashtag Sports about this. If you haven't gone to their channel, check them out as well. Lorenzo. What do I think about Lorenzo? Lorenzo Alexander as a linebacker should be scouting other linebackers, and he should be coming to the coaching staff saying, "Hey, I like this guy. Hey, check this guy out." Things like that. This is probably Lorenzo Alexander's last season for in the NFL, and definitely for the Buffalo Bills. So, why wouldn't he be doing everything he can right now to try to help this team out? Lorenzo Alexander has gone and said it himself that he thinks there's something special brewing in Buffalo. Anyone's upgrade on this whole offensive line. Welcome, Brian, to Believers Talk. It's definitely needing of an upgrade. The whole offensive line is. Maybe we keep Deion Dawkins. That's about it. That's really about it. So, they talk about how this is a depth signing. Well, sure, but the only reason why it's a depth signing is because we're going to be signing more offensive linemen here in the near future. So, again, I do look forward to that. But yeah, Lorenzo Alexander, go back to your statement, NJK Buffalo again, and thank you for joining me on Believers Talk. Again, Lorenzo Alexander should be doing this kind of stuff. Lorenzo Alexander right now is probably our defensive captain, right? If you talk about a guy who's a veteran guy, been in the league now for 13 seasons, I think this will be his 14th year. He needs to step up into that leadership position, especially now with Kyle Williams retiring. Obviously that's a big hit to our leadership, but Why wouldn't you, if you're a veteran player, be looking at other players? Because you can't be on the field right now, at least not in NFL stuff, because they have so many rules now. You can't be on the field, so you need something to do. And some players take this time off to heal their bodies and relax, and go have fun. And you should also have fun. But at the same time, if you're serious about making this team better, and you know what this team needs, they're on the field. So coaching staffs can only do so much. And if they have someone there who's on the field who knows the kind of linebacker they need, then it's worth listening to. And who's a good complement to Lorenzo Alexander? Because that's the guy. Lorenzo Alexander is the guy who's going to be subbed in for the most. You talk about Milano, Edmonds, two guys who are very young, who as long as they're healthy are probably going to be on the field. So who's gonna be a good compliment to Alexander? Get out there and give us something from that end. I personally feel like we might need more of a veteran presence at linebacker. Again, we talked about that #sports, but you talk about Shaun Alexander re-signing with the Buffalo Bills. That might fill that veteran presence for at least another season. So that's how I feel about that. Don Montgomery, I'm from Pittsburgh, where strangely Buffalo is in my eyes awesome. I love winter. I'm originally from Niagara Falls. I actually now live in Pittsburgh. I actually live in Lancaster, which is about 4 hours away, 3.5 hours away from Pittsburgh. But yeah, you're still close to Buffalo, and I'm currently stay with the teams with record good and bad, just awesome. Ocho Cinco and Terrell Owens, that will probably work for $100 a game. Get them back, right? I saw last season, wasn't Terrell Owens still working out, trying to get on a team? Go play in the AAF, right? See what happens. But now, guys, the Sabres still up 2-1 here in the second period. The Akron Zips are at halftime with the Buffalo Bulls. I'll check on that game back from half, and the Bulls are up 44-36 now, so they're pulling away a little bit. Seems like the past couple games, the Bulls have definitely had better second halves than first halves. Again, that's not something that will bode well come tournament time. They need to wrap that up, because they're not going to get a strong seed come tournament time. They're not going to be a 1, 2, 3, or 4 seed, so they're going to be playing one of these tough teams, a tough out. Again, just like last year, we got Arizona in the first round, right? So we need to be able to hold other teams to fewer points in the first half, maybe jump out to a better start in those games. But again, come March Madness, Bulls will be in the tournament, I believe, and we will have you covered here on Believers Talk, live play-by-play and reaction for their tournament games, and then we'll be live for the Buffalo Sabres this Sunday against the New Jersey Devils. Probably do a couple more games during the regular season, and we'll have you covered throughout the playoffs if they make it there. So again, thank you guys for joining me on Believers Talk. We talked about Spencer Long. We talked about Lafayette Pitts. We talked about Antonio Brown. We talked about Jerry Hughes and his Twitter rant about Tom Brady. And again, guys, my Twitter handle is in the description below. If you're not following me on Twitter, I try to keep you updated on all Buffalo sports throughout the week, so you want to make sure to follow me there. You don't subscribe to that. You want to subscribe to this channel as we keep you up to date. Again, we went live yesterday, had some news yesterday, went back on today because we have more news, more signings, re-signings, so we had to get back on here. Buffalo sports going on all the time, so again, you want to hit that subscribe button, like this video, maybe share this video. I heard some cheering. I wasn't sure what that was about, but I'm going to get going here soon. Again, thank you for joining me. Again, let me know what you think about Spencer Long. If you're not live, if you're joining us later, let me know what you think about that signing. Again, probably a depth signing. But again, we need all the help we can get in the offensive line. And it's good to see the Buffalo Bills making these moves even before the season officially starts, which that season starts March 13th. We will keep you updated on all the free agent signings, keep you updated on the combine, and keep you up on the draft. Who are the Bills going to get in the draft? That's always a big question. I'll be watching those mock drafts, see what happens. Probably put out a mock draft of my own, so you want to stay tuned for that. Thank you for joining me on Believers Talk. Again, my name is Joe. If you haven't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Buffalo Sabres currently up 2-1 the Islanders. Hopefully they can pull out that win. Buffalo Bulls currently up on the Akron Zips. Hopefully they can continue to win and get themselves in good position, 47-36 right now, to win the MAC championship. And then the Buffalo Bills re-sign Lafayette Pitts. A lot of news going on right now. Happy to bring it to you. Happy to be here. I always enjoy having you guys with me to chat Buffalo sports. I'll talk to you all soon, but until I do, go Bills.